Passive verbs in Latin are often where people give up and say Latin is too hard, but you are not going to give up on my watch. I love passive verbs and I'm going to tell you why today. The king saw the messenger was seen by the king. These sentences effectively mean the same thing, but grammatically they are different. In the first, the king is the nominative. He's in charge of the verb. The messenger is the accusative. In the second sentence, the messenger has become the nominative. The messenger is the grammatical subject of that sentence. Now the king is in the ablative case, by the king. He's an ablative of agent. He is the one doing the passive verb. So I have saw, which is an active verb, and was seen, which is a passive verb. Here are the same sentences, but in Latin. Rex is the nominative, nuntium is the accusative, vidit is the active verb. The king saw the messenger. Nuntius has become the nominative in my second sentence. A rege is ablative, by the king, and visus est is passive. The messenger was seen by the king. So for active verbs, the subject does the action. But for passive verbs, the subject actually receives the action, which is a little bit different to how we've learnt verbs work. Active verbs, the nominative does the action and the accusative receives the action, but in the passive verbs, the nominative is the one receiving the action. This sounds a little bit complicated, but once you get your head around it, it actually becomes really simple, and I'm sure you'll love passive verbs just as much as I do. So for passive verbs, we actually have two different ways to form them depending on which tense we need. There are ones that are formed with the present stem, and there are ones that are formed with the perfect stem, or actually the perfect passive participle. The tenses that use the present stem are of course the present, the imperfect passive, and the future passive. They all use the first principal part in your dictionaries. The ones that use the perfect stem are the perfect, the pluperfect, and the future perfect passives. They use the fourth principal part in your dictionaries. Let's have a look at some of the first group first, the ones that use the present stem. Captivi in foro necantur. The prisoners are being killed in the forum. It's happening now. It's present tense. The prisoners are the nominative of that sentence. They are receiving the action, so this verb is passive. It's a present passive, are being killed. I know it's a nominative plural, captivi, so necantur, N-T-U-R, is my third person plural ending for passive verbs. Rex gladiis pugnabatur. The king was being attacked with swords. This is an imperfect passive. It's not happening now, it was happening in the past. Batur, B-A-T-U-R, tells me it's imperfect and it's a third person singular ending. So the king, the grammatical nominative, was being attacked. Nos Romani numquam vincemur. This one is my future. We Romans will never be defeated. Or rather, we Romans never will be defeated. Will be defeated is vincemur. This uses the present stem with the future signifier and MUR, which is the first person plural passive ending. So, these all use the present stem, present, imperfect, and future passives. These are my endings for the verbs which use the present stem. Ar, ris, ter, mer, mini, unter. It's a really good one to chant, it sounds really good. Ar, ris, ter, mer, mini, unter. These are added to the three tenses of verbs we just saw. So for the present stem, I just use the first principal part plus my passive endings. So portar, I am being carried. For the imperfect, I use the stem plus the BA, which is the imperfect signifier, and my endings. So portar bar, I was being carried. The future is a little bit more complicated because you have two different ways to form the future depending on conjugation. But again, you just use the present stem plus the future signifier and those passive endings. So portar bor, I will be carried, or vincar, I will be defeated. If you're not sure about the different futures, go and have a look at my Why Are There Two Future Endings in Latin. I'll put a link in the description below. So these are the ones that use the present stem, but I said there were also ones that use the perfect stem. So let's have a look at those now. Puella a milite servata est. The girl has been saved by the soldier. This is a perfect passive verb. I've used my fourth principal part, se va ta, and then the present tense of the verb to be, est. They squish together and they become a perfect passive verb. Se va ta, by the way, because I'm talking about the girl. She's the nominative and the ending has to therefore be feminine. Heri in taberna visi eratis. You had been seen yesterday in the shop. Visi eratis is a pluperfect passive verb. This is using the fourth principal part, the PPP, plus the imperfect tense of the verb to be, which is eratis. In this case, I'm talking to more than one person. Visi eratis, you plural, had been seen. Tribus diebus, feminae inventae erint. The women will have been found within 3 days. This inventae erint is a future perfect. At some point in the future, they will have already been found, completed action in the future. This uses the PPP, which is feminine plural, to go with the women, and it uses the future of the verb to be, erint, the third person plural. These are all using the perfect stem, or more correctly, the fourth principal part, which is the perfect passive participle. So the passive verbs that use the perfect stem use the fourth principal part plus the verb to be in various tenses. To make a perfect passive verb, you use the PPP plus the present tense of the verb to be. So for example, portatus sum, I have been carried. The pluperfect uses the PPP plus the imperfect tense of the verb to be, like portatus eram, I had been carried, pluperfect. The future perfect uses the fourth principal part plus the future of the verb to be, portatus ero, I will have been carried. Now actually, all of these are slightly grammatically incorrect, because I am a woman, and as I am sure you have all noticed, the fourth principal part, the PPP, should agree in number and gender with the subject. So if I'm saying all those verbs, it should be portata sum, portata eram, portata ero, because I am feminine, so I should use the feminine endings. If it was talking about a man, it would be portatus. If it was talking about a gift, it would be portatum, masculine, feminine, neuter. So just something to look out for. They can also be plural, so portati for many men, portatai for many women, and portata for many gifts. So just a little recap. Active verbs, the nominative does the action. The king sees the messenger. In passive verbs, the nominative receives the action. The messenger is seen by the king. And that's all there is to passive verbs. If you're not sure about any of these endings, you can go and download my complete reference guide to Latin verbs from the link in the description below. It's got all of them written out in lovely tables and it'll really help you when you're trying to learn these endings. I hope that's been useful. Let me know what you think of passive verbs in the comments. Do you love them as much as I do, or are they the bane of your life? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Bambasbat.